Yes, I should.
Long, just put the headphone.
Yes.
Long press. You'll get open. Like that.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
I'm Jyoti. Ma'am,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to record the session. Can I record? Please give me permission.
Suku sir.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. My name is Suku Thomas Sandel. I'm one of the organizers of the workshop. Ma'am, at this point of time, we will not be giving the participants the option to record the session. However, the takeaways of the session, you are free to make a note of it.
Sir, will you please provide the recorded session also?
At this point of time, ma'am, no, ma'am.
After that.
At the end of the workshop, we will be sharing it with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Shall we start, Father?
Please.
Yes, sir. Learn continually. There is always one more thing to learn. Steve Jobs. A pleasant evening, respected dignitaries, faculty members, and participants. On behalf of Department of Management, Christo Jayanti College, I welcome all of you to 7 days national workshop on data analysis using SPSS. Research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. Albert Sent. Research is a tool for building knowledge and facilitating learning. Workshop on data analysis is aimed to equip academicians, researchers, and other stakeholders to gain practical insight on various data analysis tools along with its application in social science research. Prayer changes everything. Whatever your goals and dreams, you can do much more with God than without Him. Let us begin the session by invoking the blessings of God Almighty. I now request the college choir to lead us in the invocation song. Welcome, which brings cheers to our heart and a smile on our faces. I now call upon Professor Surendranath Reddy, Head Department of Management, to welcome the gathering.
Respected Principal, Father Dr. Augustine George, respected Dean Dr. Aloysius Edward, faculty members from the Department of Management, delegates from different parts of the country. Today, we are all living in the era of information. There is a huge amount of information that we are generating and we are facing in different forms. To use this information, we need a systematic and scientific research to be carried so that that information can be utilized for the well-being of the society, country, and the world at large. And we also know that the tools that we use for the various activities of research are also very essential. So in this line, in order to help the young researchers, students, and faculty members from different parts of the country, we have initiated this 7 days data analysis using SPSS workshop. On this special day, it is my privilege to welcome all the delegates and people who have gathered here. I extend a warm welcome to Father Dr. Augustine George, our principal, who is a true inspiration, motivation for all our activities in the department and in the college. We welcome you, Father.
Thank you.
I would like to welcome Dr. Aloysius Edward, our Dean, Deanery of Commerce and Management, who's always guiding us and giving all the support which is required for initiating programs like this. We welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome Professor Ajay Abraham Thomas, Program Coordinator of BBA program, who's always there to support the young minds in the department to take up challenges and come out ideas in order to organize these programs. We welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome the faculty coordinators of the National Workshop on Data Analysis using SPSS, Professor Suku Thomas, Professor Prashad Kumar, and Dr. Joe Mexon, who worked hard in order to materialize this particular workshop and make this day as a reality. We welcome you, professors. I would like to welcome faculty members from Department Management, who are always there to support all our endeavors in the department and in the college. Welcome you, teachers. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the delegates who have shown interest and who come from different parts of the country and who have shown interest to be part of our workshop for the next 7 days. We welcome you, delegates. And also welcome all the friends and all the well-wishers who have supported and made this day a reality. Welcome everyone once again. I remain.
Thank you, sir. It's indeed my pleasure to welcome you as well. I now request Professor Suku Thomas Samuel, Assistant Professor, Department of Management and Faculty Coordinator of the workshop, to provide a prelude to today's event.
Thank you, ma'am. Research is seeing what everybody else has seen and thinking what nobody else has thought. Albert Georgi. Distinguished dignitaries, teachers, and participants of the National Workshop on SPSS, a very good evening to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to provide a prelude to the 7 days national workshop. Christu Jayanti College is committed to provide quality education to all aspiring youth of the nation. Department of Management at Christu Jayanti College aims at creating futuristic visionaries with a thirst for excellence. The department, from time to time, organizes several events that are beneficial to the academic community at large. We do not need acts, but we need actions. The government alone won't bring change. It is the people who will bring change. These were the words of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi. To add thrust to the culture of change through advancement and research, the Department of Management has organized a 7 days workshop on data analysis using SPSS. The invitation to the workshop has been extended to participants all across the nation. Through the workshop, we aim at equipping academicians, researchers, and industry stakeholders to gain practical insight on data collection tools, statistical tools, along with the application of data processing and statistical analysis in social science research. The topic selected for the workshop covers a span from the fundamentals to advanced analytical techniques such as factor analysis. The workshop has received an immense response across all verticals of working professionals, academicians, researchers, and student communities. Wishing you all a wonderful season of learning ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a brief overview of the workshop. To be inspired is great, but to be an inspiration is an honor. Our principal, Reverend Dr. Agustin George, is a visionary when it comes to research. His interest and zeal towards research is a motivation for today's workshop. Father, I welcome you to deliver the presidential address.
Most respected Dean, Dr. Aloysius Edward, Professor Surendranath Reddy, Head Department of Management Studies, Professor Aji Abraham, Coordinator, Department of Management Studies, and the resource persons of the days, Dr. Sugu and Professor Sugu and Dr. Nexon, and most distinguished faculty members. I'm so delighted to be the part of this program. Today is 5:30 right now. All the teachers are supposed to be at home with their family members, but I can see that the teachers are here, the part of this learning platform, wherein they are here with much enthusiasm and much interest. There is no pressure from anybody to be the part of this program, but I see that teachers themselves are the part of this program. That means a lot as a teacher, and for a college, okay, it matters a lot. So first of all, my congratulations to the BBA department for organizing such a wonderful program. I observed that you have been working a lot for the best of the teachers and for the students as well. Going through the programs organized by the management department the past couple of days, I can vouch my statement that you are giving a different direction to the students and the faculty members. The three major things that I noticed as a positive outcome of the corona is the first thing is going to be the blended learning platform that the institution has adopted. And the second thing is going to be the integration of the technology much into our teaching and learning process. And the third thing is going to be, I think, especially in the higher education, we think more about the outcome-based education. So learning is asynchronous in nature right now. It is not limited to a particular time or not limited to a particular space, or you can say that it's not limited to a particular domain at all. There is an awareness among the faculty members and the researchers. Okay, yeah, the role of an educator is changing day by day. is not the classroom performance or, that kind of result from the academic that's alone characterizes the quality of the teacher, but mostly it is about the kind of research they are doing and the kind of contribution they are doing to the society due to the research. If I just look at the topic today, the data analysis and using SPSS, I highly recommend to all the people. Okay, you can start from the basic Excel to the advanced Excel. But the people like that, again, we have to go to a tool wherein I think we can, note to the each and every bit of this particular tool so that the data can be analyzed in a proper way and the result can be or predicted or analyzed, or it can be reproduced in the way that we wish to do. So there are a good number of teachers out there. I'm happy to see your thoughtfulness, first of all, to be the part of this program. And I wish all of you all the best so that there is something for each one of you to take away from this program, I'm sure. It's mainly because, okay, I have 100% confidence in the resource people because they took many sessions and they received, high positive feedback of the sessions as well. That may be the reason, okay, many of the faculty members or the people from outside are the part of this program. So I wish all of you all the best. I fail in my duty if I don't mention the effort taken by the department head, Reddy sir, the coordinators, and the teachers for organizing such a program, and kudos to the department for organizing this kind of program. And we hope that there will be more and more programs of this in the coming days ahead. In Christy Jayanti College Autonomous, an average of 7 to 8 programs are happening in a day. If I see that the programs, one program will be for the faculty members or faculty development program, or one program can be a national or international or the conference. See, all the things are oriented to enrich or develop the capacities and the skills of the teachers. It means a lot to the organization like the Christy Jayanti College, or it is imitable also for others as well. So wishing all of you all the best and appreciating the effort taken by the department. I pray for the best of the things to all the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father, for your inspiring words, trusting the role of educators in the current education scenario. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. I request Dr. John Maxon, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, and Faculty Coordinator of the workshop, for the vote of thanks.
The heart that gives thanks is a happy one, for we cannot feel thankful and unhappy at the same time. Douglas Wood. Good evening to one and all present here. I am very glad to propose vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I would like to thank our God Almighty for the showers of blessing. Next, I would like to thank our beloved principal, Reverend Dr. Augustine George, for motivating and supporting us to conduct this workshop. Thank you, Father. I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Aloysius Edward, Dean, Commerce and Management, for his support and guidance. Thank you, sir. I am very grateful to our head of the department, Dr. Surendranath Reddy, sir, for encouraging us in all spheres in a great manner. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank our program coordinator, Professor Ajay Abraham Thomas, for his support and encouragements. Thank you, sir. Then I would like to extend my special and sincere thanks to the organizers of the workshop, Professor Suku Thomas Samuel and Professor Prasad Kumar. Thank you, professors. I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the staff members and participants from various institutions for your valuable time and presence. Thank you, everyone. So once again, I thank one and all. Thank you.
We thank you as well, sir. With this, we have come to the end of the formal inauguration session. We request participants to kindly remain in the meeting. We are starting with our technical session for day 1. Our first session is on Introduction to Statistical Tools and Data Analysis by Professor T. Somasundaram. Sir is having 13 years of teaching experience in engineering colleges and currently working as an assistant professor in Department of Management and coordinator for Center for Soft Skills and Aptitude Training at Kristu Jayanti College. And Sir has corporate experience as a HR recruiter. Sir is pursuing his PhD in management with a specialization in HR. Sir, as part of his research work, published several articles in international and national journals and given hands-on training programs on Excel and SPSS for faculties and research scholars. As an academician and a trainer, he had delivered guest lectures on various topics to management students in different places and acted as a resource person and trainer for various programs to the students. Sir, I request you to kindly take over the session.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for a wonderful introduction. Good evening to all the participants. At this outset, first of all, I'd like to thank our management and our principal, Reverend Dr. Augustine George, and for the Lijo and for the Joshi and for the Deepu for their constant support given to our department to organize this kind of a wonderful programs and events. And also, I'd like to thank our head of the department, Professor C. Surendranath Reddy sir, and program coordinator Ajay sir, and the workshop coordinator Sukhu sir, Prasad sir, and Mixon sir for their having a trust on me and giving a wonderful opportunity to take a session on data analysis using SPSS. Okay. Dear faculties and research colleges, I want to start a session with quotes. As you all know that research is to see what anybody else has, and it is a thing that nobody has thought. So these are the quotes given by Albert Yogi. With this quote, I want to start today's session. So I will share my screen. Yes, I hope everyone can able to see my screen. Fine. Yes. So, first of all, I'd like to welcome all the participants for showing their interest on 7 days national workshop on data analysis using SPSS. And we hope that definitely from our side, it will be a very good learning experience for all the participants for all the 7 days. And as you all are aware that this is our agenda for the next 7 days. So each and every day, you'll be learning a one statistical analysis through hands-on training. Okay, whereas today you'll not be having any hands-on training, just I'm going to give the basics, okay, what you want to know about when you want to start work with the SPSS. And followed by that, tomorrow you'll be having an introduction on SPSS, and you will be having a descriptive and reliability, all those things. And each and every day, you will be learning a one-by-one analysis, how to do those analysis with the help of the SPSS software. Okay, so followed by that, today's session will be like introduction to statistical tools and data analysis. So before moving on to the session, just I want to tell you that being a research scholar, being the faculties, okay, we need to know certain important things, fundamentals to do a research, right? So whatever the things we are going to learn today, it comes under it's like a language of a research. You should know those language. It is not that, sir, I'm very good in handling SPSS. I know how to handle the SPSS. Okay, you can give the whatever data in the SPSS software. it will give an output. It will not say that, okay, you will not get an output. Whatever the data you give as an input in the SPSS, it will give an output. But the thing is, the important factor in the research is how you are going to give an interpretation. That is very, very important. In earlier days and all, the research is like domain specific. And now it has been moved on to interdisciplinary, and now almost it has been transformed to multidisciplinary research. It is not that only statistical tools can be applied only by the mathematical department or the science department. Okay, nowadays, even an English literature review research also needs some statistical tools to do a data analysis for the research work. But the thing is, doing a data analysis is simple. But what is the output you're getting from those analysis and how you are going to interpret it? That is very, very important. Okay, as a research scholar, you should know that as a learning the basic things and doing a special analysis, it's all a simple work. But the way you are learning the basic things, that should have an impact on your interpretation. That is very, very important. So with this, we will be starting a today's session. So as you all know that this is the agenda of the today's session. So you will be learning what you mean by basic statistics. Don't think that this is very too basic. Fine. Why? Because at least I can throw some light on what you mean by statistics. There are some people maybe studied statistics in your college or maybe from the statistical background. Okay, there are some people, they may not aware about more about the statistics. So just for those people, I'm just going to throw a light on what is basic statistics. And we have a different divisions of statistics. Don't think the statistics is depend only on mathematics or data. Apart from that, we have a different way of doing statistical analysis are there, and followed by that we will be looking at the variables. What is a variables? Very, very important for a research. When you want to do a research, okay, through the literature review, you will get the variables. Variables are very important where you are going to prove your research work. So you need to understand what is variable and its type, and also data is very important. Simply collecting the data and just entering the data, all the data in the SPSS and getting the output is not a work. You should know that what is exact data need for exact analysis. Sir, I want to do a correlation. I want to do a multiple regression analysis. You need to know what kind of data you need, what kind of a variable you need. That is very, very important. If you have a clarity with all those things, your job will become easy when you're doing SPSS and giving interpretation. So we'll be learning about what you mean by data and its types, what you mean by scale. Very important. When you are framing a questionnaire, constructing the questionnaire, okay, how you are going to collect the data? So through the questionnaire, whether your questionnaire has some measurement scale, yes. According to your scale, you have to use this respective analysis. It is not that for every questions, for every variables, you can apply chi-square, correlation, regression, not like that. Each and every analysis needs some input. For that, you need to know what is scale and type. And we know, right, statistical tests, there are different way of tests. The one is a parametric and non-parametric. And we will be discussing about that also. And another important thing for interpretation, significant value, which is also called as a p-value. Based on the p-value only, you are going to give an interpretation for the data analysis that you have done with the help of the SPSS. And then we'll be discussing that what are the statistical tools and what are the analysis you can do, like univariate. Sir, if I'm having a one variable or a two variable, if it comes under my qualitative data or quantitative data, metric or non-metric, whether it is a categoric or it is a mediating variable, whatever it is, according to that, you have to decide which analysis you can do. So that we can discuss under univariate, bivariate, multivariate analysis. Okay, and finally, I'll just open the SPSS and I'll show you how the SPSS window will look, and the remaining part will be covered by the next sessions. Okay, so this is today's agenda. So if you have any queries during the session, please make a note of it at the end of the session. Okay, I will be addressing your queries. Okay, so first we'll start with what is a statistics. Of course, everyone knows about what is statistics, right? So it's just like a kind of a data that you are collecting. Whenever you are collecting the data, it's like a raw data, right? So we cannot do anything with the raw data. We can do a calculation, but statistics indicates that doing a calculation is like a mathematical part. But statistics indicates that the interpretations that you are going to give for the data that you have collected, analyzed. Sir, I collect the data from 50 employees. In that 30 are male, 20 are female. Okay, how you are going to give interpretation? Do statistics. Take an average. You told that 30 employees are there in the company. All the 30 employees are male and 20 employees are female. In that 30 employees, what is a percentage out of 50? 30 employees are male means what is the percentage? Do percentage analysis. Take an average, mean, median, skewness, kurtosis, standard deviation, error. So like that, you can able to describe, you can able to explain the data instead of collecting the raw data and just doing the analysis or just tabulating the data. It's not a statistics. You have to give an interpretation, meaning to the particular data that you are collecting. That is very, very important. So that comes only after analyzing. That's why we told that you have to start your collection of a data and then go for an analysis and then give an interpretation. For interpretation, you need to know what is data, what is variable, what is scale, or what kind of data I can use, what kind of analysis. All those things are very important. So the basic meaning of a statistics is you have to give a interpretation, the meaning, description for the data that you are collected and then analyzed. So you can do any kind of an analysis which comes under the statistics. There are a lot of analysis out there. You can use those functional formulas in Excel and you can do it, or in SPSS you can input, you can give the data as an input and you can do the whatever the analysis you want based on the variables and the data, the skill that you are used for your research work. So it is simply just like that. In statistics, like doing an analysis from the data that you are collected, okay, and then tabulating the data, doing a lot of analysis and then giving a meaning for those things is called as a statistics. So finally, statistics gives a meaning for the data that you are collected. That is a basic understanding of what is statistics. Don't think that as a statistics like something it's related to mathematics. Totally, it's different. Mathematics, if you have a formula, you can apply the data in the respective formula, you can get the output. That is what. But statistics, after getting the output, the way you are going to interpret, that is very, very important for a statistics. So that is what the meaning of statistics. So here we have a different division of statistics. Don't think that statistics is just like doing a analysis. No, this depend upon your domain. Okay, if you're from commerce and business management background, or from social science, or from English literature, or from science, okay, each and every domains has a different division of statistics. So first thing is, usually as a social science research, we'll be focusing on only 3 divisions of statistics. Okay, so there are 5 divisions of statistics are there. In that 3 divisions of statistics, most probably the social science researchers will apply. Right, so the first one is a descriptive statistics. It is a basic statistics. If you take a project, BBA students project or MBA students project, those students project report, you can see the percentage analysis or weighted average method. The basic analysis that they will be done in their report. So that comes under the descriptive statistics, which talks about the basic statistics analysis for your research work or for your project work. So under this descriptive statistics, it will be giving just like a summarizing, and it will explain you what it is. That's all. So this table talks about the gender of the respondents. That's it. From that, you can able to see that this much people are male, this much people are female. So the basic information that comes under descriptive statistics. So whenever there is a concept called, right, where whenever you collected the data, after collecting the data, you need to go for a tabulating the data, editing, coding. With the help of those things, you can do an analysis. All these things comes under the descriptive statistics, the basic statistics which are required for a research work, right? And the second one is analytical research. Now, sir, I am doing a research on 2 different variables. I want to find out the impact of one variable on the other variable. When you are doing a research on those things, you want to find out the relationship. I want to find out the association, whether is there any association between the soft and health drink consumers, okay, in Bangalore or in Chennai. So I want to know the relationship. I want to know the association, whether age is associated with some other factor. So if you want to measure those association, relationship, significant relationship, comparison, you have to use the analytical statistics. This is also will be used by the social science research, because our research paper, the thesis, they will not accept with the basic statistics. We need to prove something. Whatever the model that we have prepared, whatever the outcome that you want to measure through your research, that should be done with the help of the either bivariate analysis or multivariate analysis. Then only our paper will get selected. Right? So as a social science research, we will be using analytical statistics also. We need to use that. Okay. And the third one is the inductive statistics. Okay, this most of the statistics will be used by the sales marketing data, where they want to predict. For example, sir, last month, this is the sales turnover. Last month, this is the information, this is the data we got through the sales department or the marketing department. From that, a person can able to predict with the help of the partial data, because he knows the previous data. He knows the previous information. With that, he will start predicting the next level. So those things comes under the inductive statistics. Okay, forecasting the data. Most probably the companies, the corporate will use this kind of a statistics to predict. And the fourth important division of statistics is inferential statistics. This is the third statistics where we will be using. If you take a social science researcher or researchers from the commerce and the business background, they will be using the inferential statistics. Is once if you started collecting the data from the population, with the help of those sample data, you will be doing some analysis. And you're not having a clarity on what I have to prove. In that cases, based on your objectives, as a researcher, you need to frame an hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis is, hypothesis is just like an assumption. Whether you are going to prove that hypothesis is a true or false, both consider as a research. So, sir, I'm going to prove this. I am using age as a one factor, and I'm using another factor as a demographic variable, and I'm going using some other variables like variable 1, variable 2, variable 3 are there. I want to find out the association and then the difference, impact. After that, after measuring the impact, after considering both the variable, and I'm putting analysis in the SPSS software, I got one output. Now, from that output, I don't know how to interpret. So from that output, you need to see the significant value, which is called as a p-value. From that p-value, you need to conclude. You need to give an interpretation. That interpretations depend upon the hypothesis that you have framed. So this p-value says 0.5 or more than 0.5 or less than 0.5 or in between 0.01 to 0.05. So in that cases, my alternate hypothesis is this: there is no significant relation, or there is a significant relation, or age is not associated, or age is associated. Like that, if you have framed the hypothesis based on the significant value, which is called as a p-value, you have to give an interpretation. That comes under the inferential statistics. To give an inferential statistics, you need to undergo a significant test. That means you need to have a significant level, 5%, 9%, 1%, 10%. This is another division of a statistics, right? And the fifth one is applied statistics. This is also one of the statistics which is used by most of the manufacturing sector. Okay, most probably to maintain the quality, like control process chart, there is a control chart is a process chart is there. Okay, Six Sigma. All those is total quality management concept. Okay, they will be applying these tools, and then they will be finding out quality control, sample survey, quantitative analysis for taking a decisions related to the business. So in that cases, it comes under the applied statistics. So this applied statistics and inductive statistics will be used by the corporates. Okay, will be used by the manufacturing sectors, all those things. But if you take as a social science researcher or the researchers from the commerce and business background, definitely we will be using the three important statistics. One is a descriptive, another one is analytical statistics, and the third one is inferential statistics. Because descriptive statistics talks only the basic, and the analytical statistics second level, and the third one is inferential statistics. So all these three important statistics you need to incorporate in your research work. Sir, I got the data, sir, and I have given the data in the system. I have done an analysis. Okay, I have given something as an inference. Whether it is relevant to your objective hypothesis, you need to look all those things. So before giving interpretations for the output that you got through the SPSS, okay, you need to frame a hypothesis, which comes under inferential statistics. You need to give an interpretation, right? What is the meaning you are going to give for the data that you have collected? Comes under inferential statistics. And if you want to give the overview of your data, sir, I have focused on this population, 1,000. Among the 1,000, I have taken 700 sample, which is almost 70%. And then in that 700, this much percentage is male, this much percentage is female, this much percentage group of people are educated, uneducated, working people, not working people, homemakers, kids, youngs. This kind of informations you are giving, right? That comes under descriptive statistics. So like that, you need to understand the different division of statistics and incorporate in your research work so that you will have clarity. When you're giving a presentation to the examiners about your research outcome, you'll have a clarity for what purpose you did this, right? So this is a basic things about what is statistics. I hope everyone understood the different division of statistics. Fine. So the next level is second important aspects. Okay, the second important language to carry out research work is variables. I think most of the people know about variables. Right? When you talk to your guide or any expert member, they'll ask you that, what are the variables for a research study? Simple, common thing. The common questions will be asked from all the guide, examiners, all those things. What is a variable? How many variables you are using? Which variables are dependent? Which variables are independent? All those questions they'll ask. See, understand that variable is just not like that, sir. I'm using this concept. I'm going to measure this. This is called as a variable. No. Whatever the variables, whatever the things that you want to measure through your research, that comes only through the literature review. So that's why they'll ask you to say that, for example, you want to measure the working environment. Whether working environment is considered as one variable for this study, is there any supporting theory for that, or is there any supporting literature review for that? They will ask. So variable is not like, sir, I can create my own variables. No. Whatever the variables that you are able to collect through the literature review, you have to find out whether those variables will be useful for your research study or not. So that is an important thing. Variables is a second important thing when you are carrying out research work, right? So variable is just like what you want to measure. Sir, I want to measure the customer perception. Customer perception is called as a one variable. And under customer perception, you may have a different items or different level. Maybe variables is also called as is similar to the factor. It may be measured in a different level. Similarly, the customer attitude or the impact of digital marketing among the street vendors. So I want to measure the impact of digital marketing. So that impact will have a different levels to measure. So these are all called as variables. Okay, where it has a different levels or a different items, different category, which you can able to measure that variables. So here, for example, see, I have taken one example as satisfaction level of the working environment. Now the satisfaction level of working environment is considered as the entire factor, where in that working environment, variable is a part of that factor, working environment. See how the working environment you are going to measure. So I'm going to measure internal and external. And that item, satisfaction level, I'm going to measure the different scales: highly satisfied, satisfied, moderate, dissatisfied. So like that, if you're framing a variables, okay, and depend upon your analysis. Sir, I want to do a correlation regression, means you can have a dependent or independent variable, okay, fine. But I want to do a factor analysis. Ensure that you have a different factors, and each factors you should have an items to measure with the help of the scale. That is very important. So when we are looking about the factor analysis at the end of the session, like last day, 7th day, we will see that. So here the variables, you need to understand what is a variable, what is a factor, what is an item. Each factor should have an item. Sir, how you are measuring this factor? I measure this factor, for example, satisfaction level. Satisfaction level of working environment I'm going to measure. You are measuring this with 5 different items. One is the quality of the working environment. Or is satisfied with the quality of the work environment? Or is satisfied with the work environment which is provided? Or are you satisfied with some other factors? So when you are measuring your factors, the different items, there you can apply a factor analysis. Okay, so here whatever the variables, whatever the outcome that you want to measure, all these things are considered as a variable. That variable should have a certain category or a level to measure it. Right? This is called as a, what is variable? Here we have a different variables. You need to learn all those things. You know about what is dependent, independent, discrete, continuous, quantitative, quality, all those things. But nowadays in the research, there is a 2 more new variables like moderating and mediating variable. Okay, this is the new things they are introduced in the variables. We will see one by one. So basically everyone knows about what is dependent variable. So any variables influenced or affected by the other one. For example, I given here. So if you take students' semester marks, students' semester marks is depend upon what? The way they are prepared, the study materials that they are referring. So this variables is influenced by all these variables, which is also called as an independent variable. Right here, independent variable means what? It will not depend upon anything. It doesn't vary based on any other factor or any other variables. For example, take age. We cannot say that we cannot compare age with any other factors. We cannot say that the person who is tall, age is 20, person who is fat, the age is 35. No. Age, we cannot depend on any other factors. That's why it is called as independent variable. Whereas discrete variable, it is also like getting an exact number, a round number. You cannot say that, sir, after this value, there is another value. No, we cannot say like that. Discrete variable is like indicating the exact number. For example, number of students in the classrooms, okay, number of equipments, all these things we can give it as an exact number. We cannot say that 30.5 students are there in the classroom. This comes as a discrete variable. And this next fourth one is a continuous variable. When you're talking about research related to the laboratory experiment, okay, like a science experiment, laboratory experiments, at this point, we're able to change a reaction 14.5, 16.5. So in that case, it is called as a continuous variable. Because after the decimal also, you want to consider some value to get the exact output. That comes another continuous variable. And the qualitative variables, all your emotions, feelings, satisfaction level, all these things are expressed in a way of a qualitative attributes. You cannot have a number. We cannot say that a 20%, 30%, 50%. Whereas in the quantitative, all the measures are variables in terms of the numbers. Your height, your weight, your shoe size, your shirt size, all these things can be measured in terms of a quantitative variables. Right? These are all the basic variables. Okay, you already know. And this is another important variable nowadays. Most of the research scholars are applying this, right? Which is called as an intervening or mediating variable. That means the presence of particular variable will influence independent variable also, at the same time the dependent variable also. For example, if you take one research model, take the same example. Okay, higher education is a one variable, which is called as an independent variable. Okay, so what I want to measure? I want to measure the income. So your income of from the job or the salary that you're getting in your job is purely dependent upon your qualification, right? So your income is dependent upon your qualification. But there is another variable called what? Better occupation. That will be caused by the independent variable. Which is independent variable here? Here independent variable is higher education. Education, qualification is an independent variable because your income is dependent upon the education, qualification. If you have a very good qualification, you are going to get an income, very good income. If not, no. But for this, the independent and dependent variable, there is another variable called mediating variable. Better occupation, which also influence the independent variable. See, if you have a better education, you will get a better occupation, right? At the same time, if you have a better occupation, if you have a better education, if you have a better occupation, that will also give you a better income. It is not that your income is dependent upon only on qualification, depend upon your designation, depend upon the occupation. That is called what? Mediating variable, right? Better occupation is caused by the dependent variable also. If you have a very good qualifications, you will get a better occupation. Similarly, through the better occupation, through the better educations, you will get a better income. So that intervening variables, okay, cause for both independent and then dependent variable. It influences both. So nowadays they are using, most of the research scholars are using this kind of a variable, mediating variable also. And then the next variable is called as a constant variable, or it's called as a control variable. Okay, which doesn't have any changes. It remains as it is. This is most probably will be used for when you're going for experimental research. not for the social science research, because we cannot say that customer perception is same always. See, if you ask the customer perception towards online marketing, definitely we can identify there is a lot of change in the customer's mind towards online marketing, because it has been changed a lot. So we cannot use a control variable in most of the social science research. If it is experimental research decisions, then we can go for a control or constant variable, right? And the last one of the important variable is moderator variable. So here the moderator variable, whereas mediating variable will influence both independent and the dependent. Here the moderator variable, it will influence the relationship of both the dependent and independent. See, for example, I have given here. Okay, so the performance, sir, I'm able to perform well in the exam based on the facilities. For example, I'm going to the library, I'm referring a lot of books each and every day, okay, to prepare myself for more competitive exams or any other exams. So my performance in the exams, competitive exams, depend upon the facilities or the resource at which I'm using, which is available in the library. Okay, but both this variable can be affected, can be disturbed by the moderator variable called interest. If you are interest, you will go for library. If you are interest, you will write exam. So interest plays a major role in disturbing both the variable. If you are not interested to go to the library, whatever, how many times you are writing competitive exams, you will not perform well, right? So your interest affects, it disturbs the relationship between the independent and the dependent variable. This is called as a moderator variable, right? So these are the different types of variables you need to learn, you need to know before entering the data in the SPSS. Not even before entering the data, before framing a questionnaire. Because when you are framing a questionnaire, ensure that your questionnaire consists of these kind of variables according to your research. Is the moderator variable and intervening variable one and the same? No, it is different. Intervening variable, which is also caused by independent variable, through the independent variable, it will affect the dependent variable. Whereas moderator variable, it affects both the variables directly, its relationship. It is not that interest only on the performance. Okay, interest affects both the factor. Whereas intervening variable, it affects the independent variable. Through the independent variable, it affects the dependent variable also. All right. So that is the difference between the moderator and then the intervening variable. Right. So these are the important variables. Okay, you need to learn. Why we need to add a moderating variable in the model? It is depend upon your research work. It is not that compulsory that you have to add a moderating or mediating variable. It's depend upon your research work. For example, so this is the entire model which is already done by the research column, but I need to contribute a certain things based on the literature review, based on the supporting theory. I need to contribute two or more variables which is acting as a mediating or intervening variable of this different independent variable. That is depend upon a research work. It is not that I'm not saying that you have to use the moderating and mediating variable now. This is a new variables which are used by the most of the research scholar nowadays. In recent days, they started using a moderating, mediating, or intervening variables. Okay, fine, good, thank you. So these are the variables which you need to learn. So that's why I touched that. And another third important basic things for starting your SPSS is data. Of course, everyone knows about what is data. It is not primary or second data. You have a data related to SPSS. Okay, you need to know what is non-metric and what is metric data. Right? So metric data, usually everyone knows about metric data. It is like a categorical, right? Metric data is like it is having a different intervals, okay, ratios. Whereas a non-metric data, it is like having a nominal scale, category, attributes, yes or no, male or female. Apart from that, we cannot extend. Whereas if you take a metric or quantity, you have an interval. 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, or range, rank the following factors from 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. Whereas a nominal or non-metric or qualitative comes under the category. Okay, so here under this, we have a different scales are there. Most probably as a social science research, we will be using a nominal scale for the demographic factors. Okay, and then ordinal scale if you are having if you are used Likert scale, 5-point scale or 7-point scale. And interval scale is very, very rare if you're mentioning the age or height, if it is needed for your research work, and giving the range from 5 to 10, 10 to 15, or 5,000 to 10,000 in that case. Ratio scales, it is very, very rare. Okay, we never use for social science research most probably, but some other research work they may use like ratio scales. But whereas for social science research, we'll be using a nominal scale or ordinal scale as well as interval scale. Okay, most probably we'll be using nominal and ordinal. All right. So this is about the types of data. Yes. So here, if you know the data, types of data and the types of scale, according to that, you need to decide what analysis you can do, right? So here, if you take a nominal scale, everyone knows about what is nominal scale. Okay, it doesn't have any number is not related to any numbers. Okay, it will be having the like a gender and then a martial status. This kind of things will have a nominal. Okay, yes or no questions, all those. Whereas ordinal, you'll be giving a range like greater than, less than, highly, okay, or not highly or not highly, likely, very likely, or like unlikely, very unlikely. This kind of things will come under ordinal. So when you started using a Likert 5-point scale or 7-point scale, you will be coming under this ordinal scale. Whereas a metric interval scales, okay, it is like giving a difference. Ordinal scales like ranging from 5 to 10, or start rating the following factors or following variables from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. You may name it. 1 is very likely, 10 is very unlikely. It is depend upon the way that you are framing your scale. And the ratio scale is like giving a interval scale properties, like giving a like height, weight, 2% of this, or 2:3, 5:10, 4:10. Okay, so this comes on the ratio scale, but we will not use a ratio scale. We will be using a nominal ordinal. Okay, so under this nominal ordinal, you need to know what are the analysis you can do. See, so all the nominal scales, you cannot have a numerical value. It is like a categorical value. It will have some attributes. You have to nominate some value when you're entering the data in the SPSS. Whereas ordinal scales, okay, you're going for asking the questions from the greater than to the lower level, or less than, or likely, unlikely, satisfied, dissatisfied. When you're using a Likert scales, 5-point scale, okay, those things will come to the ordinal scale. But most of the people will choose nominal when they're entering in the SPSS, because they will say that, sir, I'm allocating 1 equal to highly satisfied, 2 equal to satisfied. No, okay, we are not using that. We are using ordinal scale, because when we are collecting the data for the particular questions or the variable, we clearly mentioned that you can rate the following questions, following variables from 1 to 5, where 1 talks about highly satisfied, 2 satisfied, 3 moderate, 4 dissatisfied, 5 highly dissatisfied. So that's why it's considered as an ordinal scale. And then the interval scales, okay, if you are having a common differences between the two values, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, like that. Whereas ratio scales, where the ratios are equals, like 2:1, or 2 times of this variables equal to the other variable, or 3 times, like that. If you're using that, comes with the ratio scale. Okay, here we'll be using the major scales used by the social sciences, such as a nominal, ordinal. Interval is sometimes rare, depend upon the certain demographic factors that you're asked in your question. Okay, under this nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio scales, we have a analysis. See, when the nominal scale, if you're using a nominal scale, like for demographic factors, this is an example, male, female, we can allocate 1 equal to male, 2 equal to female. Ordinal scales, I told you, right, Likert scale. Either you can use a 5-point scale or 7-point scale. Intervals, most of the intervals data will be related to temperature, dates. Okay, mostly when you're going for laboratory experiments, you will be asking those questions. And the ratios, it is depend upon your height, weight, or those factors. Age in the sense is, if you are considering a 1 persons or 1 samples or from the particular populations with certain percentage, you can consider. Otherwise, you need to go for ratio scale, because it will be creating confusions when you are creating age in terms of a ratio scale. Better you can have an interval scale, or you can make it as an open questions, age equal to what it is, or you can give a age A equal to 20 to 25, or below 20, or 25 to 30, like that. So these are some of the examples of a nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. So when you're entering the data in the SPSS, you need to choose the right scale to do the analysis, right? And these are the analysis that you can do. What are the statistics analysis that I can do for a nominal scale? ordinal, and then the interval, and then the ratio. See, most probably for nominal, okay, chi-square we can use. Chi-square, and then Cramer's contingency. But most probably we will be using a chi-square or binomial test. All right, I just depend upon the one-tailed and two-tailed test. You will be learning all those things when they are working about the chi-square test. And when you talk about the ordinal scale, most of the ordinal scales, you can go for a non-parametric test. Right, non-parametric test, and you can use, when there is a normality, you can use t-test, ANOVA. When there is no normality, you can use Mann-Whitney Kruskal-Walk. So that condition also is there. It is not that directly can we use only non-parametric for ordinal. You can use a parametric test if your data are having a very good normality. When there is no normality in the situations, you need to go for non-parametric test. Right. So under parametric test, what are the tests I can use for ordinal scale? You can use a t-test. You can use paired, independent, you can use ANOVA, all those things you can use. And whereas about the interval scales, you can use ANOVA also, multivariate analysis also you can use, and then the factor analysis, regression, multiple regression, correlation. These are the things that you can use when you're going for interval scale. Okay, so for ratio, you can use a coefficient of variations by knowing the standard deviation and the mean. So these are the different statistical tools, analysis that you can use for according to the types of scales. Right. In research, what we will say, we use nominal, ordinal scale. So nominal scale, most of the scales which comes under the category, you'll be having attributes, you're not having any values, numbers. Okay, for example, most of the MRE factors will come under the nominal scale, age, gender, gender, Marshall status, all those things. Ordinal scale, when you want to measure the particular variables with the help of a 5-point scale or a 7-point scale, that comes to the ordinal scale. I want to measure this satisfaction level of the working environment, giving from 1 to 5, or rate the following variables, following questions from 1 to 10, okay, between the scale 1 to 5. You may have 1, maybe you may have highly satisfied, or 1 may be excellent, 2 may be poor, whatever it is. So according to that, you need to do the analysis. That is what in research we'll be saying nominal and ordinal scale. Because, for example, if you're asking a gender, okay, for gender, if you want to do any analysis, you have to associate the age as a one important variables with any other one. Then only can be able to give an interpretation. Simply, we cannot use only the age, and you cannot say that 30% or people are lying in from 20 to 25, and 50% are having age of, it doesn't give any meaning. It's like a basic descriptive statistics. But if you want to give any interpretations that age is having any associations, relationship with any other factor, in that cases, you are use a nominal scale. That means you are asked the gender as one of the important factor. One of your hypotheses is like age is associated with, or age is not associated with. So in that case, you will be explaining that is a nominal scale, right? If you do work on different institutions, the students, what will be used nominal or ordinal? Different institutions, students in the census, I don't have a clarity. If you do work on different institutions, students, for what purpose? If you want to measure any marks or any test scores or any impact of online learning. When you go for a student's category, okay, either like a first year or second year, like that only you can measure. Okay, quality education, academic performance. Yes, all those things will come under the ordinal scale. You need to ask them that how you feel about the education policy and whether the new education policy will have impact on academic performance, yes or no, or how do you rate the new education policy, or how about your satisfaction level towards new education policy. All these things you can do with the help of the ordinal scale. Yes, is it clear? Yes, fine. Thank you, sir. Right. And another important thing is, sir, we have a different test. One is a parametric, another one is non-parametric. Of course, everyone knows about that parametric test if your population is known. Okay. And similarly, if you able to analyze what kind of a scales you are using, all those things you can follow any one of this analysis. Under parametric, you can have a 2-sample t-test, independent 2-sample t-test, paired sample t-test, one-way, two-way, and f-test. These are the things that you can do under parametric test. So when you can go for a non-parametric, understand that basically you know to give a differentiation that why I did a parametric or non-parametric. For example, what are the analysis you are doing, you can do for a research work and you can give an interpretation. But is there any questions related to your test, right? Why you use all this parametric, not non-parametric? Then that situation you have to explain that, sir. Okay, I didn't get the normality. Normality test is not proved. So I use independent two sample test. I used paired CT sample. Since normality is proved, I use that. When the normality is not proved, that is a condition for normality. When you go for a chi-square and you go for a independent test, all those things, they will explain you what is the normality. Okay, when you have the normality, you can go ahead with the parametric test. But when you are not getting a normality, in that situation, you have to go for non-parametric test. Right? Suppose, for example, you got the data as a normality data, and it has been proved. You can use independent two sample t-test, paired t-test. If not, if it is normality is not proved, then go for a man-made t-test or Kruskal value test. Ensure that you are using a such kind of variable, like you should have a one independent variable with the 2 or 3 groups. In that case, only you can use man-whitening or Kruskal value. So those conditions are there. When you go for each and every analysis, okay, one by one, you will come to know. Okay, basically they will give the basic input that under which conditions, under which situation you have to use this analysis. And there you will come to know why we are using this. Okay, but I'm giving just overview that what are the analysis that you can do, which comes under parametric and non-parametric, right? And another important thing is significant value. This is very, very important, because many people has worked with Excel, and you may done the analysis manually, right? From the statistics books, you can copy the table value. What is the Z value for 5% or 1%, 10%? There is a 3 common value, right? 2.58, 1.66, 1.96. These are the 3 common values. So by doing a manual calculation, you can say that, so the calculated chi-square value is less than the tabulated value. Tabulated value you will see from the table. At the end of the statistics book, there is a table value for chi-square, Z square, and degrees. Based on the degrees of freedom, you can able to find out what is the tabulated value. So you will start comparing the calculated value and then the tabulated value. Calculated value is what you got by substituting the data in the formula and what you got. When you are comparing the calculated values less than the tabulated value, they will say that you have to accept the null hypothesis. This is when you are doing the statistical analysis manually, please understand. But when you are doing a statistical analysis with the help of the SPSS, it is reverse. When your significant value, that is p value, right, it is less than 0.05. When you are fixing a confidence level as 5%, 95%, then the alpha value will be 0.05. So when your p value in the sense is in the output, the last column of the output will be significant value. Significant value is a p value. When the particular value shows that it is less than 0.05, here in SPSS, you have to reject null hypothesis. Whereas in the manual calculation, you have to accept. Here in SPSS, it is reverse. You have to reject. And when it is lies between less than 0.01 or between 0.01 to 0.05 or less than 0.05, you have to reject the null hypothesis. When your p value greater than 0.05, you have to accept the null hypothesis. So this interpretation is very, very important, because I already told you from the output table, the way you are writing the interpretation is based on the significant value. Please ensure that you should not use a manual calculation interpretation. There, when it is a less than, you will be accepting. Here, when it is less than, you have to reject. It is reverse. Okay, so this is very important. So point less than 0.01 or between 0.01 to 0.05 or less than 0.05, you have to reject the null hypothesis. When it is greater than 0.05, you have to accept the null hypothesis. And after saying that, what is the null hypothesis? Already you have framed the hypothesis. That you can write as a conclusion. Right? Clear? Which tests are considered useful for generalization of parametric or non-parametric? Most probably parametric test is okay, fine, because that gives you a very good results and output. Until if you are not able to prove the normality test, when there is no normality for the data that you have collected, in that case you have to use a non-parametric. But ensure that for using each and every non-parametric test, there is a certain condition. For example, I told you chi-square test, right? Chi-square, you have a one-tailed and two-tailed. right? And also chi-square test, when you are doing the chi-square analysis for the primary data, that is different. When you're using a chi-square test for the secondary data, that is different. For secondary data, you need to switch on the weight cases in the SPSS, then only to give the observed and expected frequency. And similarly, when you want to use a non-Whiteley U test, you should have a one independent variable with at least two subgroup. Kruskal value, same independent variable, but more than two subgroup. So like this, the conditions are there. Okay, these are some of the conditions are there. That's why I told you, when you're not having a normality, go for non-parametric. But most probably, all the research where you can easily prove the normality. Okay, when you're going for normality test, okay, it has to go beyond a certain value. If it is there, then it shows that your data is normal. Normality test is proved. In that situation, better you can go for a parametric test, right? Yes, sir, if you are doing a research on stock market and time series data or candlestick formation, which scale has to use? Stock market, time series data and all almost intervals. You will be having intervals, right? It is depend upon the way of framing the questionnaire now. It is not like we cannot say that exact thing. It is depend upon the way that you are framing a question. Maybe the stock market or time series data from certain period to certain period, or from certain point to certain point. If you are making it as a like that, it comes at the interval. Okay, where that nominal will not play any important role there. Okay, yes, fine. For secondary data, yes, of course, that's a secondary data intervals, because already you have a data. So you can go through the data, and if the data are like all the points are like similar, better, you can make it as an interval. That is one thing that you can do. Yes, thank you. So this is very important. Please make a note of it, because most of the people will do a mistake in this area. When they are interpreting, they will say that less than 0.05 means immediately they will say the answer that, sir, I accept the null hypothesis. No, if you're doing manually, okay, fine. But when it comes to SPSS, it is reverse. So please make a note of this. This is very important. And the other important basic things of is sample size. Of course, everyone knows about how to calculate the sample size. This is a basic formula, and there are a lot of things are there. There is a thumb rule, 20 to 30% of your entire population. So you can take it as a sample, or you can have a SurveyMonkey sample calculator. Just you can type SurveyMonkey or sample size calculator. First link you will get is SurveyMonkey calculator only. So if you enter the sample population, okay, and if you choose the confidence level, either 95% or 90%, then it will give you what is exact sample size. So for an example I mentioned here, so this is a basic formula they will be using to calculate the sample size. Okay, so for example, if capital N is a population, and for example, take population is 500. So if your population is 500, don't think that, sir, 100 is enough. No, minimum sample size you have to take is 222 as per the formula. If you go for a thumb rule also, automatically it will give the same thing, 20 to 30%, almost 222. So here the alpha value indicates that the significant value. Significant value in the sense is, sir, at what level of confidence you want to consider. Sir, I want my data 99% accurate. In the sense, alpha value will be 0.01. Because your confidence level is 99%. I want to get accurate data. Most probably in business research, social science research, literature and all, it's not at all possible. Better, that's why we will be fixing as a 95% as a confidence limit as a standard. 5% error is allowed. Whereas in laboratory, science, experimental and all, 99% accuracy they will expect. So that's why for most of the social science research, we'll be fixing 95%. Alpha value is 0.05 as a standard. So that 5% error is allowed by the research scholar. So based on that, you can easily calculate the sample size. So apart from this, you can use, I already told you can use a thumb rule. You can use a SurveyMonkey simple calculator. Or there is a sample size calculator is also there. You can type in the Google and get it, right? This is another important thing. And this is what the thing. So next important thing is like univariate and the bivariate and then the multivariate. So if you have, some of the people has asked the chat box, if you have this data, okay, what kind of a scale I can use? If I am using this scale, what kind of analysis you can use? Okay, everything is there in the slide. So if you are using a metric data, which comes as a nominal ordinal scale, for one sample, you can use a t-test assisted. For two sample, whether it is independent, you can use a two sample independent test one way and another. If it is a related, where both the variables are together, when you're going for a longitudinal study or a cross study, like you're going for time series study before, like a pre-test and post-test. Before providing a training on Tally, I had conducted some pre-test. After conducting the training program on Tally, I conduct the post-test. I want to measure the difference. I want to measure the relationship. In that case, it comes with the paired t-test. For that, you need to have two variables. Whereas if you're going for a non-metric data, which is interval ratio scale, similarly, if it is a one sample, you can use a basic statistics called frequency. Chi-square, you can use a one-tailed chi-square, run-test, binomial. Whereas two or more samples, you can use two-tailed chi-square, Mann-Whitney U-test, two or more, H-test, Kruskal value H-test, sign test, Wilcoxon test. These are the analysis techniques you can use according to your scale that you are applied for research work. Right? So most of the research scholar will be using nominal. Consider that nominal is entire thing for demographic factors. Most probably, yes or no, that the way they are using those scales or those attributes in your questionnaire, most probably it comes as a nominal. So most probably we'll be using ordinal as well as the interval scale. According to that, you can choose. Sorry, I have used the scale for my research, and when I ask you the question is, when I want to measure this variable which is there in the questionnaire, I applied the scale. Based on this scale measurement only, I collect the data. Then go ahead with the respective analysis. It is not that your research paper should have all the analysis. Don't have that thought in the mind. According to the variable, according to the type of data, type of scale, kindly apply those analysis and prove your research in a proper way. And give your interpretation. That is very important. If you give an interpretation, logical interpretation, that shows that you have done a very good research work. That's why if you see some papers even in the Scopus or Web of Science or ABDC, even with a simple analysis, their paper get published. Why? Because the way they are interpreted, that will be really different, and logically it will work. So that's why I tell you, according to your type of scale, the data variables, decide what analysis you can do, and kindly do the analysis and prove your research and give a good interpretation. The way you are writing the interpretation, that gives you a quality research work. So all these things comes on the univariate and the bivariate. And the other important thing is this is an advanced level, but we are not going to cover this multivariate techniques, but just to give some insight for the participants, I added this slide. So apart from that, nowadays, most of the people working on multivariate work, because if you take a guide or examiner or the reviewer, editor, the journal, they're expecting the people to do a multivariate analysis, something they have to apply. Okay, so here there are dependence and interdependence. If it is a one dependent with a single relationship, several dependent with a single relationship, or multiple dependent with a multiple relationship, according to that, you have an analysis, right? See, metric and non-metric, you can use MLR. Multiple linear regression, you can use conjoint analysis. If it is a non-metric, you can use multi-discriminant analysis, which is called as MDA. This is very, very advanced. Okay, you cannot see the paper with the MDA cluster. Conjoint. You can see MLR. You can see the paper with the factor analysis. You can even see the paper with the MOS. Okay, even you can see the paper with the MANOVA, multi-level of analysis of variance. But it's very difficult to get the papers in cluster analysis, discriminant, conjoint. Cluster analysis depend upon the type of research that they are applied for their research work. If they are doing research in the multiple geographical locations by framing the population, dividing the population to different clusters, there they can apply the cluster analysis. But most of the papers, we never seen those things. Okay, but if you see advanced variance, multivariate analysis, you can see the MLR, multiple linear regressions, where having one independent variables with multiple independent variables. Customer perception, customer satisfactions is depend upon many factors like price, quality, service delivery, service method, payment method. Like that, we can list out various independent variables, right? And similarly, if you talk about the several dependent with single relationship, you can go ahead with canonical correlation analysis, and then the MANOVA. And finally, if it is a multiple relationship of dependent independent, you can go with SEM. Okay, by using a AMOS, analysis of modular structure, you can use structural equation modeling, and you can prove that the model, and you can say that this is goodness for fit. Okay, so these are the advanced analysis which just for to know I had added this. Okay, and but you can learn later, right? Yes. And based on this interdependence, so far we discussed about the dependence and interdependence here according to the variable, the case, object. So for a variable, sir, I have a 5 to 10 variables, 5 to 10 factors. I want to confirm which factors having high influence on my research work. Go for a factor analysis. First, explore the factor, go for EFA, and then confirm the factors based on the eigenvalue. That we will discuss at the seventh day. And the cases are respondents, I told you, right? Different cases, different geographical locations, cluster analysis. If you're going for object-wise interdependence analysis, you can go for a multidimensional scale or correspondence analysis. Okay, this most of the social research will not use this kind of research. If you talk about the medical science and the laboratory, they maybe use this multiple because we are not doing anything with objects, right? Everything is like a perception study. So in that cases, this will not be work out, but the remaining things we can work out. Okay, we can do those analysis in our research, right? Fine. So this is about the multivariate analysis. So these are the basic things that you need to learn, and according to that, you need to decide which statistical analysis you are going to do for your research work, right? So this is about the basic things, and the remaining thing what you are going to cover is just I will give the overview because this will be covered by Lilavati ma'am tomorrow. So you know what is SPSS? It's like a statistical package for social science, all those things. See, already I told you, see the fourth important point. When you want to work with SPSS, variable, scale, hypothesis, data, significant level. This is what we covered today. These 5 things are very, very important to work with SPSS. Again, I'm telling, whatever the data you give in the SPSS, it will give the output. Sometimes it may show you the missing data or whatever it is. But whatever the data you are giving as input, it will give the output. But ensure that you are using the respective scale to come out with the respective analysis. You use those variables to get that output. That is very important. And the way you are going to give the interpretation, that gives a meaning for your research work. Okay, so here the SPSS, I'll go through that. See, this is a variable view. I think everyone knows. Okay, if you are not, this is a variable view, how the SPSS variable view looks. SPSS will have a 2 different view. One is a variable view where you have to enter all the variables. Okay, you can enter n number of variables in here. It is not that, sir, for one variable, I need to use one. No, if you have a 50 to 100 variables, 50 factors, 30 factors, and your entire questions can enter in one SPSS variable window itself. Okay, this is a variable view. See, there is a variable view. 11 columns will be there. Name, type, width, decimal, label, values, missing columns, align, measure, role. Each and every column has an explanation. Right? You have to take care when you're entering those variables in those columns. Simply we cannot enter. Right? You need to give a proper name where it will not accept the space. You have to give a proper name with continuation. Type, what kind of a data it is, numeric or string. If you're using, for example, you are using a marks or name of the student. Here type, you need to choose string. If you the mandatory, it will be numeric. If it is numeric, when you're entering the name there in the data view, it will not accept. So like that, you have explanation, which will be covered in tomorrow's session. And the next one is the data view. This is the data view. See what are the variables we entered in the variable view, right? I'll go to the previous slide. See, I'll show the variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, variable 4, whatever the variable you are entering, all the variables will be labeled here in the top column, the first row here. Variable 1, variable 2, for example, age, gender, work environment, salary package, whatever you are entering there as a variable, it will be displayed here at the top column, top row. Okay, so I have given explanations here. Also see the variable view, you can enter the name in a short form. Okay, only the characters are allowed. You should not have any space or any symbols. Only alphabet characters you can enter in the name. And the type, it indicates the type of what type of things that you want to enter. Either whether it's a name or a word or a number or a date or a currency. And the width is, you can adjust the width. Once if you open SPSS, it will show 7, 8, 9. That width you can adjust to enter the number of character words in the data view column. And decimals, if you are using a continuous data, go for decimal. If not, make it as a 0. Label, you have to give the name of your variables. Okay, the full details about your variables you can enter in the label column. And the values you can nominate. For example, if you're using male, female, you can nominate 1 as a male, 2 as a female, 1 as highly satisfied, 2 as satisfied, in order to make your data entry work easy. Otherwise, for example, take 20 samples, you can enter male, male, male. But think about if it is 100 sample, 200 sample. For how many columns you'll sit and type male, male, M-A-L-E, like. So you can nominate. So values. Missing, if there is any missing data when you're cutting the samples, you can mention. Otherwise, you can omit that and enter the full-fledged data in the SPSS. Columns, it indicates the number of column. Alignment is just like a left or right or central alignment. Measurement, here you have to give nominal or ordinal or interval. All right. And the role, whether you are giving this, what are the data that you are giving in the variable view, that comes under say input. So mandatorily it will be an input one. And the data view, whatever the variables you entered in the variable view column, all the variable name will be displayed in the top row of the data. And then based on that, you can enter the value. Okay, so this is what, so you'll be getting a detailed explanations about this introduction to SPSS in tomorrow's session. And these are some of the shortcut keys and how you have to save the SPSS file so that for future reference you can use it. Okay, so these are some of the shortcut keys. If you want to insert any variables, insert any cases, all the options are there in the file. Click edit, insert case, insert variable, click edit, go to case, go to variable. Suppose you entered 500 variables. Okay, sir, I want to go to the 310th variable. You can go to the variable and you can enter that number, you can able to see. Okay, similarly, you can insert the graphs also, how you are inserting graphs in the Excel. The same thing you can insert here also. And you can import the files from the Excel also, directly open, export it. Okay, import it, right? So these are some of the shortcut keys, and these are the directions that what are the analysis you can do. What are the analysis are available in which column? Descriptive statistics are available in analysis part, and t-test onwards available in compare means linear model, and reliability test available in analyze scale, analyze non-parametric legality dialog chi-square. So we will be explaining all these things when you're working out analysis on each and every day. Okay, just to know, I just given this information, and where is crystal value, correlation, regression. So all these options, if you go to analyze in the SPSS, you can able to see that. Okay, so for a better understanding, I will open the SPSS window and I will show you. It's getting open, yes. I think you can able to see the screen, right? SPSS window screen. So this is a variable view, I told you, right? Name, type, width, decimal, label, all those things. And what are the data you're entering? So you can enter n number of data, n number of variables. According to that data, you can get it here. You can enter the value here. For example, you are given a gender and you are given a value as 1 equal to male, 2 equal to female. You can give 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2 like that. So all the analysis part is there in the analysis. Please go through this. There is an option called analyze. See, you can have a descriptive statistics. Compare means one sample, two sample, independent sample, paired, one way and over. Okay, and then if it is a two-tailed chi-square test, descriptive crosstab is there. Correlation, regression, and cluster analysis, scale, reliability analysis to check whether your data is reliable or not. Non-parametric test, one sample, legality dialog chi-square, two sample independent test, K independent sample test, U test, H test. All these things are available. So the analysis part is very important. I already told you the shortcut keys. Go to edit. There is an insert variable insert case, and then go to if you enter the data, all these options will open. View, data bar. See, if you want to sort the particular cases, you can sort, or if you want to go to split the file, you can split. All these options are there. For graphs, you can draw a graph from LegalC Dialogs. You can choose n number of graph. Okay. So this is a window. So you will get a detailed explanations and hands-on training, because tomorrow we have a session on introduction to SPSS and the basic analysis, descriptive normality. Okay. So that's it. With this, I come to the end of this today's session. So now it's time for Q&A. Any queries you can ask me, or you can put it in the chat box. PPT, yes, all the things you will be get to know. Study materials, data sets, all those things. And it is not free. Yes, it is not free. SPSS is not free. Since we are using in the college, okay, it is a licensed version. For example, if you want for a trial versions, you can visit the IBM website and you can get a trial version for 15 days. Yes, sir, do we get this presentation? Yes. At the end of the 7 days, we will let you know all these things. Now it's a time for a Q&A. If you have any queries that for the session, you can ask. You can put it in the chat box, or if you want to ask, you can write. Okay, Alex. Yes, ma'am, you can unmute, ma'am. Galaxy F41. Yes, yes, Kiran sir. Kiran, you can unmute.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Very valuable session. Sir, I just want to ask that in a slide, you mentioned that MLR is used for the multiple variables.
Yes.
Then PLSM is also used for the multiple
Yes,
variables.
yes,
So
yes.
what is the difference?
No. Extension version of the multiple regression is the same. All the senses multiple regression. You can able to say that which different variable having a highly impact on many independent variables. That if you want to prove it in a model, right, you can use the same model. That's it.
So if someone asks from me in the Viva that why you use the PLSM model, so is it a metric or non-metric? So what will I say? Is it metric or non-metric?
It's a metric.
It's
because you use various interval scale to calculate that, so it's a metric.
And AMOS?
AMOS, it's a software, analysis of models. It gives a structure in the model for your research firm, the variables that you use, right? When you see the AMOS model, it will show that which model, which variable having highly impact based on that value. That shows that whether it is having a very goodness of it or not.
Okay.
That's it. The interpretation is very important, because AMOS model is like just giving interpretation that from that model, what you want to prove, what you want to interpret. You can prove it is a goodness for fit. And then the data are reliable, or the data are equally distributed. Or out of this 5 to 10 independent factors, this particular factors having highly influence on the outcome variable. This is a way that how you can interpret based on the model that you got through the AMOS.
Okay. Okay. And second thing, sir, I just want to ask that there is a drawback in SPSS, which I feel last time when I downloaded, then only 1 month access I will get. And after that, by the same PC, I'm not able to download this. So
no, yeah, we have to buy a licensed version then only, ma'am.
Yeah, so now I'm confused if I download it by my another laptop. Okay. So in future, what I will do? Then at that time,
when you want to do analysis at that time, before 15 days, you can install a trial version, or you can, if any of your friends or if you are from your universities, you can get help from them and you can get some crack version. It's up to you. I cannot say all those things.
Because from tomorrow, hands-on session will start. So how we will do the hands-on session?
Yes, we'll be sharing the trial link, ma'am. You can just have a trial version. I can get trained.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Any book to understand this? Yes, sir, there are a lot of books are there. If possible, when we are sending the study materials, you will include those things also. There are a lot of books are there in SPSS, basic SPSS. You can learn from that also. Well, the thing is you have to practice. It's not that you are learning from book. See, the way I practice is through the software. We worked out a lot. Every day we are working with the data and we got trained and we know what to do. It's not that we learn only from 1 or 2 days. Okay, most probably I worked with the data and I started getting a crack version from my friends and from a research scholar, and every day we are working. And whenever we had a doubt, we will clarify. This is the way that we will be learning. So it is based on the way that you are practicing. It is not that you can learn the SPSS in a 1 day by seeing the book. Okay, sometimes if you see the book also you cannot understand because there are some statistical terms will be there, but the way you are practicing, that gives you a very good income. Yes, they will send the PPT. Yes, ma'am. They will send the PPT, all these things. Any other queries related to today's session? Any queries? Parametric test you can use, sir. See, sampling method is depend upon your research, what kind of sampling method you are going to apply. Okay, non-random sampling in the sense is you use either random sampling or convenient sampling. Non-random sampling in the sense is convenient sampling you can use. Because usually when you know about your population, you can use a non-parametric test. That is a basic concept. Any other doubts? So any way to find which is the best analysis for the particular data? But the best, instead of saying best analysis, use a relevant analysis for research work. That is good for your research. You cannot say that, sir, factor analysis is best, cluster is best, chi-square is best. All the analysis are good. But whether chi-square test will give a meaning for a research work, whether factor analysis will give a very good output for research work, go ahead with that research. That shows it here. That's why I told you, even there are papers published in the Scopus and Web of Science with a simple analysis. The thing is, the way they are interpreting the results is very, very important. Most of the research scholars where they are lacking is interpretation. Because in SPSC, if you have a software, if you have a data, within a week you can learn how to work with the SPSS, how to calculate all those things. But where is interpretation? Interpretation is a very important thing for research, right? Can you please tell the use of crosstab? Yes, ma'am. When they are working out the chi-square, two-tailed chi-square test, they will tell you how to work with crosstab. How to check the normality? Tomorrow sessions, they will cover the normality test. When we use the factor analysis, 7th day. Every day, I already told you the agenda. This is agenda for the 7 days. Please see the agenda. Each and every day, you'll be learning 1, 2. So tomorrow, you'll be learning a normality, how to check the normality, reliability, all those things. And the 3rd day, you'll be learning about the t-test independent pair. 4th day, you'll be learning a chi-square, one-tail, two-scale. There, they will teach you how to work with the crosstabs. And ANOVA and 1V and 2 ANOVA, correlation and regression, and final day, factor analysis. Yes, there's a difference between the item and the variable. Items is a part of the factor. That is, items comes under the variable where you can able to measure. For example, if you have a variable, that variable will be measured based on certain items or attributes. So it's a part of it. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes, Kiran ma'am, you can unmute.
Yeah. Sorry, sir. Maybe I have so many queries because
No
I'm
problem,
a
no
research
problem.
scholar
No
and
problem.
every time whenever I give my DRC, so I have so many questions asked by my guide. Actually, sir, I
Yes,
just want to ask that in a research paper, maximum time it has been mentioned that in the sampling and the research design that the research is descriptive. Why when we check the data analysis part, at that point correlation has been mentioned, regression also has been mentioned, p-value has been also mentioned. So,
what your no ma'am, your voice is not clear.
okay.
Your
Now is it
voice.
clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just want to ask that in the research design, we have to mention all the types of research, that this is a descriptive, inferential, and analytical
No,
research.
ma'am. This is, I just given this as a basic information. to know that what kind of statistics methods are there.
No, if we are using the correlation as well as student t-test.
Now, once if you
and
use a
p-value.
correlation, it comes under the analytical statistics. In order to explain that.
Okay. Okay. So we have to mention all the three terms, no?
Yes, yes.
Descriptive as well as
Analytical and then inferential. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Fine, fine. So which type of data is used for factor analysis? Once if you attend the factor analysis session on 7th day, I'll explain you, sir. Any other queries? If any other queries we can address, otherwise we can wind up the session. Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you. Fine. So I hope there is no questions. No problem. If you have, sir, AMOS analysis, we are not covering AMOS analysis. It is only SPSS. We need to have a separate session on AMOS. Yeah, same AMOS. We'll be having a separate session, but as of now, we'll be doing all the analysis with the help of the SPSS software. Okay, fine. So thank you all for your enthusiastic participation, and almost I hope I have given a clear information. And if you have any doubts, no problem. In the upcoming sessions, you can put a queries. Okay, we'll be there. Okay, if you have any queries related to today's sessions, if you're asking tomorrow, I'm there to address you. Okay, so with this, we will end this session. Once again, thank you all for your enthusiastic participation. We'll meet you again in the tomorrow session. Thank you all. Session.